Harrison Price for Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. Presentation of Bet365 at Bet365. Boring games, a thing of the past. Now, there's always a reason to tune in, even if the score isn't one of them. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Play responsibly. I'm Matt. This is Blake. I'm Sakaris. He's Price. Mike Rogerson is hitting switches and conducting things today, as always, and we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our podcast, whatever platform you may use, and leave a like while you're there. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. First of all, let me emphasize my attire today, because Mike tells me that every time one of us comes dressed irregularly, that's the first thing the chat wants.
Oh, really? Okay.
To talk about. Why is Sakaris wearing a suit? You know, why isn't he looking like the slob he normally looks like, in a hoodie and a ball cap? I am not wearing a black suit for my media colleagues who lost their jobs yesterday, although it very much applies, would be appropriate to. Blake and I have a memorial to go to after the show today.
It's in my neck of the woods.
He gets to go home and change.
Yes.
I'm going straight there.
Yes,
So
yes.
Forgive the disjointed look of the program here today. We'll get back to looking like slobs on Monday. Reminder, no show tomorrow, no show Friday. Do not be alarmed. We are simply doing some overdue maintenance work here on our computers. Well, I got to say, that was a day unlike any yesterday.
Yeah, highs and lows when you think of the sports media story, the fabulous World Cup vibes. I mean, it was a range of emotions, right?
It was such a I mean, it was a range of emotions just getting a text in the morning about the news of, well, at the time it was just 650. We'll later learn it would go much, much broader than that, because I felt for my friends and former colleagues there. Of course, it rushes back all the emotions from the day that our station was taken down. And then, we had this joyous day planned, this final match day for FIFA in Vancouver. Go out, watch it, and then spend some time on Granville Street. So it was an emotionally taxing day yesterday, and I can only imagine for those of you who were 650 listeners, who were 1130 listeners, how difficult it was to negotiate, especially if you were planning on, FIFA frivolity, to have that news hit you in the morning and then carry on with your day, because needless to say, something was lost here in Vancouver yesterday.
You know what I realized? I'm not going to hear Thomas Drant's erotica. Andy Cole's intros.
I'm not going to hear his giggle as much.
Thomas Drant. Oh, my God. So good.
Andy did such a great job. Andy, one of the guys we worked with back at the old station, really talented guy, actually.
Musically inclined.
Exactly.
Yes.
Musically inclined guy. One time touring music. Put together those intros on how
he and Mike Rogerson would get around famously. If we had bigger budgets,
they would so nerd out, the two of them. I can only imagine. Especially on the board, right? With the mixing and oh my goodness. Yes. We have Jody Vance on the program later. Once upon a time on Sportsnet television. I don't know about you. I woke up every morning and watched Jody do highlights once upon a time. She thought the news was purposely delivered yesterday, thinking the FIFA storyline in the last match day in Vancouver would avalanche it in terms of news cycle.
If I'm thinking strategy, my thought was more just that We need to get past a few signposts that the radio station helps us promote, which is the draft, which is free agency.
Right.
Once they're done as a promoting vehicle for those two signposts.
Because, of course, FIFA, not a Rogers property.
Not a Rogers property.
It's a Bell property.
Yeah. It might help.
But the Bell way to do it, as they did with us, is have them promote the Super Bowl, recap the Super Bowl on Monday, then gas them.
Yeah. So that's how I read it, but I mean, she's not wrong. They had some cover.
Oh yeah, I mean,
now it's only 1 day cover, and then it's an off day in the World Cup today.
That was the other thing. After our station was shut down, and again, it was part of a multifaceted approach across the country. Edmonton, Winnipeg, Hamilton all lost their sports talk stations today. Ours went down. So like weeks or months later, somebody on the inside at Bell said to me, yeah, like our top executives were really surprised at how long the story lasted, like how long the bad PR lasted for them.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? You didn't think that one through, gents? You thought people would move on in 24 hours? I mean, radio occupies a really special place, and I see it with all the commentary on social media yesterday about, your day is metered out by the radio, right? Like your drive into work, if it's the same time every morning, you're probably accustomed to hearing the weekly guest in that spot every morning, right? If you're out at lunch, same deal. Like it's really a rhythm of life medium. And, that burrows in. That gets deep.
I didn't seek it out, but I also think it's possible Bell might have caught some stray bullets here as well, because people got reminded of that day, but also the fact that there are now no network all sports radio stations anywhere but in Ontario and Quebec. The one that remains is an independently run Edmontonian all sports.
That's right.
But the network saw fit to give the eastern half of the country all sports radio. In Ottawa, even, and not to denigrate your old
they're senators' rights holders, so I think
that didn't stop it here. And in Calgary, I didn't know this until today, Matt. They reneged the rights in Calgary. They gave them back.
Oh my God.
That's what I was told.
Kidding me?
They were given back to the team.
Yeah. The guy who ran the Ottawa cluster also ran Toronto and Montreal. It may just be that simple. Oh,
yeah, maybe
we can't gas the station of one of our more senior executives. He's a more senior VP than the other guys who are running this city or that city. Our daily poll question: better sporting experience in Vancouver, the 2010 Olympics or the 2026 World Cup? Look, it's long been said Vancouver is an events town. We love to turn up to events. And events can take many, many forms, whether that's Expo 86, whether that's a Grey Cup, the Rugby Sevens, a Whitecaps playoff match against LAFC, a BC Lions pregame concert. Vancouver really likes its sporting events. But the other thing that has become clear here over the last month, Vancouver puts on events extremely well. Like, we have some incredible expertise on the ground here in terms of putting on large-scale sports festivals.
Did you add Arash Marchese's article to the rundown?
I did not.
I didn't see it.
I did not.
We saw this late. Longtime Vegas reporter. It's
L.A. and Vegas.
Yeah.
He's been in both cities for a long time.
Yeah, and actually, I just saw it now. He lives in Hawaii. He's had a tough gig, those three cities.
Yeah, if you're gonna.
But it's primarily about the Whitecaps and how the Whitecaps should remain the Whitecaps. Vegas should get an expansion team. But one of the lines in the thing is he'd been to SoFi for a World Cup match and said, just a spectacle. Just, state-of-the-art facility, the mass of people. What a spectacle. Went and saw the nationalism on display at Lumen. Said that was just incredible. He'd never seen it for soccer. Like that was its own thing. And of course, the Stadium District and Pioneer Square and all that going off. But what he said separated Vancouver was, he said, the city felt like it was born to do these sorts of events.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, that's dialing it in. That's
Yep.
it. Like, he got this.
Yep, nailed it.
Like, we do these events well, folks. Congratulations to you. You're a part of it.
Absolutely. We're going to get to some of the shout-outs here, but, I mean, you really can't do better than the backdrop, right?
Especially when the weather cooperates.
How many other urban environments show off this well the world over?
Yeah.
Oh, let's pan to the snow-capped mountains. Oh, let's pan to the Pacific Ocean. And then the city skyline.
But it's a pretty small downtown, so you can walk the entire, no matter where you're staying, no matter where you're eating, you can probably get to the stadium downtown.
It's a good walk from English Bay to BC Place, but it's doable.
Oh, people do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And here's the other thing. The jealousy from the city of Toronto is just dripping.
I don't want to turn it into a them versus. Let's
No.
proud of
it's
us.
It's got to be noted, Blake. Because I think what became clear here over this World Cup, Toronto may be the most multicultural city in the world, as they say, but it is clear that Vancouver is Canada's most international city, our world capital, so to speak. Toronto might be the hub of Canadian business and population, but when the world thinks of Canada and comes to Canada, increasingly that's Vancouver and not Toronto. I think that's become clear now.
That would be. I'd love to see the stats and the growth and the line graph for visits to Toronto and Vancouver, respectively. It'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm. The 2010 Olympics and 2026 World Cup were different experiences for me because one was purely as a fan, and the other was, 18 plus days of work. Look, it's pretty tough to beat that incredible Canadian gold rush down the stretch of the Olympics, which of course included the 2 hockey gold medals and of course the thrilling overtime Crosby golden goal. Overtime game against the United States in the men's tournament final. I gotta say, though, the vibes on Granville were similar. You have the world coming here, and everybody was in a joyous mood. And those simulate the humanity of both on the streets as you were meeting people and smiles all around. I mean, even the Colombians last night that walk in Granville still had smiles on their faces.
Mike, do you think more visitors during the events, more visitors came for the World Cup or?
Oh, I think for World Cup, yeah.
I mean, there's more people in the streets, I think, but I'm not sure if that's just our community showing up. But
first of all, there is a much greater emotional bond between the national men's soccer teams in a lot of this country and their Winter Olympians.
Sure, that's fair.
So the drawing card, the actual game itself, I think is far bigger. The Olympics is also a very, very daunting trip. I mean, let's face it, Blake. Like, Canadians came to Vancouver en masse. I mean, my brother was one of them. I have to be there. He got on a plane. He came and crashed on my couch, for a weekend. Canadians rallied to Vancouver during the games because they saw what was going on. They saw the spectacular weather in February of all times, right? But if you were, man, you got to have some money if you were going to an Olympics when it's on, right? Because the world's elite are there.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Vancouver and World Cup travel became more affordable as the events got nearer. Blake, the hotel occupancy in Seattle was less than 50%. FIFA canceling all those rooms and just hotels
Left
jacking
them
up
in the
their
lurch.
prices really put a fear factor and really chilled some people, I think, who were otherwise thinking about coming. And then as the games got closer, I mean, we talked about there were tickets left for all 7 matches.
Yeah.
As we were on the eve of the tournament.
Well,
I think people realize, like, okay, some of these matches are actually affordable on the secondary market, and some of the hotel and accommodation costs aren't as bad as they were looking a few months ago.
It's also amazing to think, just 7 matches here in Vancouver versus the multitude of options during a winter games. We're going to compare those two. You could attend way more things, way more tickets available for the winter games but what I didn't bargain for was the nonstop interest in the games elsewhere.
Yes.
It felt like it almost felt the city reacted like every game was in Vancouver.
Great point.
And
Sensational point.
And I did not expect that in the least.
No.
So,
Mexico's playing, and something like Jackpole Plaza
apropos nothing.
Looks like it's a Cinco de Mayo parade.
Yeah. Jammed.
Incredible. Like we were in a bar yesterday. There are neutrals riveted to a scoreless Switzerland-Colombia match.
Well, and the Jackpole Plaza thing is very interesting because it was not marketed as a watch party zone.
No, organic.
Like it was TSN.
Well, I mean, the TSN people said, come on down and watch.
Yeah, but it was sort of ad hoc. They had 2 reasonably sized screens there, more because they expected, I think, people to be curious about the goings-on of the set. Yeah. I don't think they knew that it would turn into a place to consume the match, which it ultimately
I think they wanted people to come, but in the early days of that set, they would pan at the plaza. There wasn't a lot of people there. Then came the Mexicans.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. I voted Olympics, but, I mean, you're picking between gold and platinum here. I'll take either every day.
I expected the Olympics to look like the Olympics, so I'm going to go with the one that I was more surprised by, and I'll go World Cup.
Soccer guy.
It's not that at all. I'm a winter sports guy. You know me. My sport was skiing, so I expected the Olympics to feel like the Olympics, and it did. It hit all the marks, but I'll go with the surprise.
He schooled me up yesterday on soccer tactics in that 5th substitution. I had a friend say to me last night, like, really nice job talking tastefully about your friends and colleagues and, competitors too at 650. And really enjoyed that there was a classic Matt versus Blake fight in the show.
We did mix one of those in too.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah,
yes,
there was. Okay, Mike, break the tie. We're tie-breaking time here, buddy. I'm on the Olympics. Blake's on the World Cup. What says you?
I have to check the wording because...
better sporting experience.
Well, I worked a lot during the Olympics.
Yeah.
I'm also a hockey guy, and we won gold against America. So that was huge. But I expected to have a bit of fun at the World Cup. Like, I get it now. That's the one thing I can say is I understand the World Cup.
Yeah. Mike, not a big soccer guy.
Like, I like soccer. I like sports. But, like, that was a friggin' blast.
Oh.
I would say I give the edge to the World Cup just because
wow.
I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
So you're going my
I didn't expect it to
surprise.
affect me like that.
Mm-hmm.
Put it that
No,
way.
I know.
Yeah.
Today's the first day since, what, June? What was the first game? June
27 straight days of action. Crazy.
What are you going to do with your lives when this tournament is over?
Worse yet, there's 2 double days off coming in the next week and a half before the final.
Oh, my goodness.
2 double days off.
What? Who
Yeah.
authorized that?
Exactly.
Can we get Victor on the phone?
Like, can't we have a 7th, 8th place game, please, just to
Victor,
fill the gap?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a friend. Just keep these teams around. Have them go friendly. I'd watch that. Okay, so vote at the Sick Harrison Price X and YouTube channels. If you're on that YouTube channel, of course, subscribe. Leave a like. Top story brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing from Port Moody, British Columbia. Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery from Oliver, British Columbia. FIFA came, They saw, and Vancouver conquered. The full-time whistle has blown at BC Place Stadium, and Vancouver has experienced another infomercial to the world over these last 24 days. Not to mention some legacy installments for the city. It was a whopping price tag of more than $700 million, but God knows how much economic activity has taken place over the last month, not to mention the economic activity to come, given how many will now travel to our city after seeing it shine at the world's biggest sporting event, the World Cup Finals. Sports Illustrated named Vancouver the top World Cup host city going in. And I got to say, I was really surprised that story got picked up so widely and ballyhooed so widely. I had some reservations. First of all, you had a lot of non-sporting people who were sort of lionizing SI, and I was like, well, it's not really the Bible it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, there were a lot of seats remaining for that Australia-Turkey opening match. It was a really soft secondary market. It seems a few open empty seats in one of those early Mexico games, and I was like, oh, this isn't the most attractive slate of teams here in Vancouver. I was worried about that. And then, of course, the article was written by Vancouverite Ben Steiner. And I know how much Benny loves Vancouver. I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course Ben's going to say Vancouver's the best World Cup city. Well, Steiner and SI proved pathetic. From Jackpool Plaza to the North Shore backdrop to the Pedestrian Mall Granville, where stadium goers pre- and post-game, to the PNE Fan Fest and that gorgeous new amphitheater.
Which people thought was going to be too far away, and I was concerned about that too. And man, you flooded there.
To the Shipyard's watch party, staring at the back of Stephen Caldwell's head across the water on the TSN, said, if you couldn't have fun over the last 3.5 weeks, do you even have fun? Like, how could you not?
Yeah. I don't know anybody that didn't, by the way. I know that, everybody I know has sampled it to some degree and only had good things to say.
My 80-year-old mother's getting over a little medical matter, but she's half English. Where are we watching England on Saturday? I want to go out and experience one of these things.
Yeah.
Let's bring this up. This is from the official FIFA World Cup 2026 Vancouver account. The final whistle has blown at BC Place, and what a journey it's been. To the fans from every corner of the globe who turned Vancouver into a sea of color, culture, and pure passion, thank you for bringing the world to our doorstep. A massive thank you to our incredible volunteers, stadium crews, host city partners, and everyone working tirelessly behind the scenes to make the world's biggest stage shine. And to BC Place, thank you for rocking from the very first minute to the last. The FIFA World Cup 2026 matches may be leaving BC Place, but the party continues at the FIFA Fan Festival Vancouver. Thank you, Vancouver. We showed the world how we play. God, I hope Don Garber was keeping an eye on BC Place over the last 3 weeks. Especially amazing. Want to shout out the volunteers here, much like the turquoise jackets of 2010.
Right. Yes. These are the sage green.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jackets.
The volunteers were extraordinary, and they are the lifeblood of holding events like this. So thank you to everyone who gave of their time for this civic endeavor and civic achievement of ours. I want to play this in full because our buddy Christian Jack, synonymous with covering soccer in Canada, and of course, not just at the World Cup level, right? Like KJ's been a regular on the show. We had him when he was here in town, covering the MLS teams, covering the CPL, covering the women's game, the youth. Jesse Marsh is off to coach the U20 team, and Christian would cover that. I want to play the video that Christian Jack put out last night on the final day of games here in Vancouver. And, of course, the TSN set is also coming down at Jack Pole Plaza. Here's KJ.
Vancouver was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What a World Cup city. Let's go back to the time where we were hoping Canada were going to get cities to host this World Cup, and Vancouver weren't even marked to be one of them. What a shame that would have been. We've got to see the best version of this unbelievable city over the last few weeks. The weather's been marvelous. The fan bases have been absolutely incredible, passionate. The streets of color. We've had the gold of the Aussies, the all whites of the Kiwis. We've had the Egyptian Kings. We've had Salah partying on Granville Street. You know, we've had De Bruyne. We've had David's hat trick. We had Diaz today. I know Toronto had some of the stars as well, but 23 goals in 6 games before they came here. And this city has embraced it. You know, there's a lot of talk around Save the Caps, and why wouldn't they here in this city? Because you can see loads of Whitecaps shirts around the city all the time, how much Vancouver and British Columbia love this sport. But for the World Cup, it was arguably one of the greatest cities that have hosted it. I've been to 5 now, and I speak to a lot of people who've been to a lot of games, and when I ask them about Vancouver, their eyes widen and they just smile, and they want to talk more about it. Partying every night, no matter what team it is. It's what a World Cup is supposed to feel like, not just what's on the field. And by the way, 54,000 plus in 7 games every single time. Brilliant atmospheres as well. But the feeling of a World Cup in the streets of Vancouver is what made this city a world-class city once again.
With 7 games. We got that
Brilliantly
with 7
said,
games.
Brilliantly said.
Like
Their eyes widen.
It's incredible.
I've been to dozens of World Cup cities. This one.
He's a Canadian, but an Englishman that knows about the game.
It's what a World Cup's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Pretty crazy.
You couldn't go anywhere in the downtown and not get the vibe.
And it's also, you know, I said this when there was some trepidation about whether or not Vancouver was going to host. I said, come on, Victor Montelliani is here.
My God.
It's going to happen.
So
it's going to be figured out.
It's so fun. Blake and I were talking about this yesterday. One of the things we really loved in our radio days was when breaking news happens in the middle of the show. And Blake and I were on air the day that the provincial government announced it would not be bidding to host World Cup games.
Yes.
And we made 2 calls that afternoon in the breaks. One was to Victor Montelliani, who said, well, we'll just see about that. And the other was to Tom Manek of the Sport Market. And, you know, Tom said, Matt, it's clear that our government doesn't understand the sorts of agreements that you make when you're hosting a sporting festival of this size. And I was like, how could they not understand? We did the Olympics. But, of course, that was a different government. They had their trepidations of, FIFA's allowed to take money out of the country. And this, I was like, well, how else are they going to get their revenues?
I remember.
And sure enough, the decision was reversed. And we were not only all in on hosting and selected to host, but also thanks to Victor Montelliani, the FIFA Congress came here too.
I remember what I said at the time. It's a negotiation. You say yes, and then you negotiate. You keep yourself on the list.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Well, we finally look.
Without Montelliani, though, it's not. You know, they're not getting back on the list. They said no. They would have remained a no, like Edmonton did. And thank goodness
Victor.
Edmonton did.
Victor is. I was teasing him yesterday on text. He was giving it right back. Victor is the single most important figure on this happening. I mean, he told us the story when we had him on last week. Him and Peter Montopoli and the third gentleman in a Vancouver restaurant saying, let's bid for a World Cup. Like, let's go down to the American and Mexican federations and let's put a joint bid together for a North American World Cup. That was the first step. And then the second step was when he had to come on in and fix, basically, the political opinion. Because the politicians, and they're not wrong, FIFA's a 4-letter word, right? Especially like during non-World Cup times, FIFA's, oh my God, they're crooks. They got their hotel raided in Switzerland, the misappropriation, the bribery, the this, that, the other. Well, okay. There's a lot of that that's true, right? Like there's a lot of that where FIFA doesn't pass smell tests and even during this World Cup.
You don't have to search far.
How it started at the draw.
Well, speaking of that, though, Matt, like UEFA is launching several the UEFA wants to launch an investigation into Infantino. So as it pertains to Victor Montagliani, and it's not coming from him.
Yep.
You could be looking at the next
FIFA president. I mean, Brunt mentioned that to us yesterday.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Blake, I remember when the hotel was raided and all those FIFA officials were taken away in handcuffs. We had Victor on the show, and Victor said to us two things that still resonate with me all these years later. Number one, you do have to understand the way business is conducted in other parts of the world that wouldn't necessarily meet the Canadian ethics standard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're dealing with. This is the world's game. You're dealing with people who are accustomed to dealing with strongmen and dictators and all sorts of monkey business. Not like free market, open bid processes. But secondly, maybe the organization, maybe soccer world governance needs a little Canada. It wasn't wrong about that either.
Super chat here from Eptree. Watching matches on BC Ferries was an experience. I had it. I was watching.
Hadn't even considered it. Awesome.
Four little 24-inch TVs in the corners of the BC Ferries, at least that's on the Nanaimo route. And guys, I was watching the Cape Verde Argentina match. We docked with 5 minutes to play. There was a group of about 100 of us that refused to get off.
Leaving.
We're not leaving. The lineup's going past us. People are jumping into the spare seats because they want to see how. So they were yelling at us to get off.
We may go to penalties with Capo Verde.
So we eventually saw the end of the match and got off the boat. But I saw that. It was amazing.
I want to bring this up. This is a play-by-play and sports talk radio host in Ottawa named AJ Jakubek, who's originally from Edmonton. But AJ is a card-carrying voyageur, a member of Canada's official national soccer club. AJ has followed the men's program to different World Cups, to tournaments like Copas and Gold Cups. So he's seen Canada play in all sorts of amazing venues all over this world. And he tweeted yesterday, Canada's role in the 2026 World Cup ends here. Shout out to Vancouver for being a perfect World Cup host. Got to 7 World Cup cities with one more to come. Nice itinerary, wow. AJ. And they all performed well, but nothing tops the scenery, atmosphere, weather, and stadium location of Vancouver.
Pretty cool.
Touched them all. Our boy Ben Steiner, aforementioned. This was incredible. I hope the city and other companies see this and the new PNE stage as a pristine option for viewing parties for future World Cups, Olympics, local team watch parties. Look at the scene at Jack Bull Plaza.
I like how Ben didn't explicitly say Canucks playoff watch parties because it seemed a bridge too far at this point.
No, but
too far down the road.
I mean, you probably don't remember it because it was so pathetic, but the Canucks playoff watch parties of a couple of years ago in neighborhood parks. Come on, folks. Yeah. We gotta do better. It may be a while. We'll have plenty of time to plan, I think. The next time the Canucks are back in the playoffs, you absolutely have to do a watch party at Jack Bull Plaza.
If the
it's our Jurassic Park, if you will, outside of the Raptors arena.
The danger there is April's a little bit more dicey for weather, but you can get nice days. I was going to say the PNE fan stage is amazing because that's got the roof on it. So
that
even
too.
a rainy,
absolutely.
April,
do both.
Yeah, for sure. Do
one
both.
Downtown, one on.
The next time the Canucks are in the playoffs requiring an outdoor watch party, guess what? There's going to be a lot of enthusiasm for said playoff series because it will be in the first one in a long time.
Yeah, it will. Kenneth Chan of the Daily Hive. I've been to all 7 matches held at BC Place, and this match, last night's, probably has the best atmosphere thanks to the nonstop chanting, cheering, and singing by the yellow sea of Colombian fans. It's continuously elevated in here. That's the baseline.
We had other reports from friends that were in attendance as well that said the exact same thing.
And there were 2 Canada matches in that stadium. Maybe we're not as enthusiastic as
also, we were nervous, I think. I think there was a lot of nervousness.
Well, especially at 2-0 Switzerland. Swiss, meanwhile, won 3 matches here. I mean, you saw interviews with all the Swiss tourists in town for the match, and one of them said Vancouver feels like home now.
Yeah.
And basically your home park for the Swiss national team. They defeat Colombia on penalties. Of course, it goes the full distance and then to the penalties in the final match. Dramatic finish to the game. I did feel bad for the Colombians because there were so many here.
It would have been really fun. The place we
There
watched
was.
the place we watched the game last night, yesterday. If they had won, our walk back to the studio would have been incredible.
I gotta say, I think there's a lot of people in Colombia who found some of that stashed away Pablo Escobar money and financed a trip up here to Vancouver for the FIFA World Cup because it was I was talking
Thank
to
God you said money. I thought you were going to. They found something else.
Pablo. He said, have so much money, he'd hide it, he'd bury it, he'd put it in locations across the country. A lot near Medellin. Blake, I must have gone up to, I don't know, let's say 20 different Colombian fans as we were making our way through Granville. Very few of them spoke English. And I'm like, my God, this isn't a local in a Colombian jersey. This isn't a Colombian up from, lives in Seattle or something. These are actual Colombians. It was like little Bogota last night. And their spirit yesterday, especially pre-match, was just through the roof. I mean, think of how far away that country is. Switzerland, too. Think of how small their diasporas in southern BC are.
Well, there are direct flights in the summer from Zurich. There are not, I would guess, from Bogota.
I'm going
to guess.
I'm going to guess. Yeah. And then there's this Josh Clokey, the athletic man, sitting in Vancouver watching Colombia, Switzerland slog it out. You wonder what could have been if the Canadian men's national team had topped the group. Colombia looked beatable. Yes, every World Cup is full of woulda, coulda, shoulda moments, but one more Canada goal might have really changed things. Did you have that thought at all as you were watching 0-0? And boy, I will say this. For a country like Switzerland that is so clean and tidy, do they love their mud puddle football, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the prettiest
They
brands.
do not play a pretty game or allow their opponent to play a pretty game.
I will repeat what I said when Canada lost. They never played their best match of football anyhow. Health was a big part of that, obviously, but even the guys that were out there could have been better. So I don't think it's so easy to say they would have won the round of 32 match if they had stayed in Vancouver. It was a tougher matchup. So, a mostly healthy Canada with Davies and Kone, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Would have been incredible.
One of the Australian reporters is going to be sold out.
It took me a few more nights. I was very surprised on that opening night that it was sold out. I was very surprised, and I'd only just seen some social pics of the fans. I needed to see more of it myself, and within a couple of days, I started to see it, and blown away.
Mike, do we have another super chat there?
No, it was two from the same fellow. Thank you to
Thank
F3.
you.
Partial proceeds to the BC Mental Health Foundation.
That's right. Those of you on YouTube, that super chat button is always available to you, and virtually guaranteed. If you hit it, make your donation. We will get your post on the air here. Tell them about Yellow Dog, and then we have to get to the sad news of yesterday.
Recently released Play Date Apricot and Guava White Sour. Had my first sour of the season a couple of days ago. It is perfect for summer. Weather's getting hotter and sunnier. Get the Play Date into your quiver. It's back for its sixth release. Throwback vibes here. It's a fresh new flavor combo, though, with the apricot guava. Go check it out now from Yellow Dog Brewing.
Well, we have the final carnage here from Rogers Communication Inc.'s shuttering of radio stations across 4 cities yesterday, ours, Calgary, Halifax, Kitchener. It's 230 job losses. So this was a very expansive bloodletting from the company, shutting down stations and just handing licenses back to the CRTC. I found that amusing because, and again, I sometimes wonder what the hell goes on in those executive suites at media companies. Because when 1040 was dropped, the all sports format was dropped by Bell. You'll remember the station wasn't just taken off the air. They went to Funny AM, canned comedy.
That's right. That did it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, of course, drew nothing
Yeah.
and was unsellable. But they did so because, Blake, they wanted to protect the frequency, the license.
And then a year
They
later,
were afraid of surrendering it that the competition might come in and start a radio station on AM 1040.
yeah.
5 years later, Rogers just goes, you take him back.
Well, eventually Bell did too. Bell sent back both
Eventually
their two as well. But
And I see people saying, oh, people should, start up. More on this in a second, but we've now heard from our friends Halford and Bruff on Twitter this morning. We got Jason's tweet first here. Thank you to everyone who has reached out. It has been heartwarming and humbling to hear from the community that has developed around Halbro. We'll take some time for the dust to settle and see if we can't return in some form or another. It's going to be a long rebuild anyways. He's talking about the hockey team, not the show. Halford in quote tweet. Hey, everyone. Wanted to echo everything Bruff said below. I have always loved doing the show and truly appreciate how much it meant to people. It is a very cool thing, and I'm lucky to have experienced it. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. So, sounds like they want to recast. It's never been easier to do, gents. Can tell you a thing or two about that.
and we've seen the multitudes of suggestions towards the Nation Network.
Yes.
We're not idiots, folks. We have
We've
had the idea.
Hey.
We'll see.
We'll see. Politicians were tweeting about this too, including our Premier, David Eby. We all benefit from having local news outlets, and this is a blow for British Columbians. Journalism over profits. BC is going to miss Sportsnet 650 and AM 1130. I'm thinking of all their staff, producers, and journalists today. Very kind of the Premier. One province to the east in Alberta wasn't quite as conciliatory as BC's Premier. This is Michelle Rempel Garner. She is the Conservative MP from Calgary Nose Hill. And Blake, did you see this? Apparently, Rogers pulled the plug on the two Calgary stations that closed, the Sports Talk and the News Talk, as they hosted Stampede parties. Stampede's on in Calgary. It's like the biggest week in Calgary.
So they were on location?
Yeah. Wow. As she tweets, this sends a highly undignified message to the Calgarians who likely learned their jobs had been cut mid-broadcast.
Incredible.
She would go on to say, Rogers Communications receives a multitude of highly lucrative and expensive taxpayer benefits from the federal Liberal government. These include receiving millions of dollars in taxpayer funding in exchange for supposedly preserving and creating jobs and saving local media. The Liberal government approved the Rogers-Shaw merger based on a promise to create up to 3,000 net new jobs in Western Canada, a commitment that remains unfulfilled. After approving the merger, former Liberal Minister of Industry, current Minister of Finance, François-Philippe Champagne, said he would, quote, be watching Rogers like a hawk, and that the merger would be good for consumers. But today in Calgary, jobs were lost and consumers lost a vital source of local news and a critical forum for sharing stories about our community. She's not wrong. I realize in federal politics, it's always blame it on the government if you're in opposition. I realize some politicians look to expound on grievance, push grievance. But she's not wrong. And the thing I wonder, and we asked John Shannon later in the program, do you think the Bell and Rogers executives who make these decisions understand the adverse effect it has on Canadian unity and how it grows regional divisions? Do you think they understand that? Do you think they care?
No.
They just don't care?
I just don't think I don't think they consider it. I think also, but
no, because for me, if you want to position yourself like Rogers and Bell as a Canadian company, we'd really like you to have a Bell cell phone, cable internet, because that's the game they're in, right? Then you have to understand when you're also a media producer with properties in those cities, you're there doing a civic duty.
And to me, the salt in the wound is the inconsistency. The fact that it is all affecting, primarily affecting those outside of Ontario and Quebec where the headquarters are.
Yep.
Halifax,
Kitchener,
Alberta,
Vancouver.
Yep. And Kitchener, yes, but probably the least amount of jobs there. I'm not saying those people shouldn't be considered, but I'm saying the consistency.
It's just far away enough out of the GTA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, the fact that, and this is the Bell, not the Rogers side of things, but the fact that TSN still has all sports stations in Montreal and Ottawa. Mm-hmm. Like, do you think those are more financially? And you can say, it's and that was, it made sense for a second. They have the hockey rights. Well, as we have seen, both in Vancouver and in Calgary, didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's just too coincidental. And people say, why do people not like Toronto? And I've often railed against Donnie Taylor because he's got a real big beef. Railed in a kidding way that he loves to chide Toronto and talk about the centralism there. And I've always said, there is a lot of people there. That's why they prioritize that sort of thing. Well, explain Ottawa, explain Montreal.
Well, especially the English language, Bob.
Yeah, this is the second largest English language. You don't want to try to make something work here? Have a brand presence here?
Make all that money in Calgary. No, it's like I think they can just. I think that they think they're just, we're Canadian companies. No. If you want to be a Canadian company, you got to do the work in the individual markets. You got to build customer bases. You got to deliver what the citizenry wants. You can't just use the rest of the country to fuel your GTA initiatives.
Well, think of the juxtaposition here, Matt. We just spent 30 minutes talking about the world extolling Vancouver.
I know.
As where is Rogers in the rank of Canadian companies? Third biggest company in Canada? Like
pretty big.
Just as they pick up and leave for the most part. It's very interesting.
It's down the list because, of course, the banks.
The banks. The damn banks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, one of the biggest companies in Canada. It's incongruous with what you would think you would want to do, and that is spread the brand out far and wide and keep and stay in people's minds in a good way.
It's smaller than Dollarama?
No.
Holy fuck, is Dollarama big? I can't believe this. Dollarama's a $50 billion market cap company?
In Canada?
That's what it's showing me. I had no earthly idea. I was not familiar with your game, Dollarama. Holy cow.
Those places are usually full. I will grant them that.
Yeah, Carmen loves her. Ours. Yeah, okay. You know how much shit you have to sell at $1 to get to $50 billion?
Do you know how little they likely spend then to make that kind of money? Think about whatever you're buying there, what they must be spending.
Favors, they're getting thousands of them for a penny.
A penny.
Yeah. So last I saw, the Canucks audio rights, let's call them audio rights.
Yes.
are going to wind up on Jack FM. There's 2 FM Rogers stations left, so there's not much of a choice to be made.
50-50, yes.
I mean, I imagine when they redid the deal 4 years ago, it specified whether it had to be on terrestrial radio or could just be streamed. But it sounds like it is going to still wind up those rights on radio. As Adam Kirstenblatt notes, Vancouver Giants and Vancouver Canadians as well. Now, I'm told the Vancouver Canadians games, and of course our buddy Tyler Zickel at the controls there with his fine play-by-play, will be streamed off the Canadians website and off sportsnet.ca for the remainder of this season. But I mean, for me, that's something else that's been lost here. And look, you can still get it. It's just, it's different than just hitting the button right in the car. Because when I'm driving around on a summer night, I love listening to Tyler Zickel call the Seas, whether they're here at the Nat or whether they're somewhere in the Northwest League. Don't know what will become of the Vancouver Giants audio broadcast. What I can say is that I'm just so glad that Bill Wilms did not have to go through this day. That Billy Wilms, at 83 years old, after having put in 25 years as the color analyst for the Vancouver Giants, got a farewell and a proper send-off, as opposed to having to be caught up in all this mess. The other thing, should have mentioned this yesterday. You mentioned it to me off air, but I want to give you time on this because you're a BCIT grad, and I know you're still close with the programs there, the profs. Participate in some of the alumni event on the broadcast and on the journalism side. But you said to me, this is just devastating news for those programs at BCIT, right?
It was the best and easiest way to get pro experience. Internships, you hit the ground running. And many, because there is some churn there, or was churn at News 1130 and inside the newsroom. At the time that I was going through, it was a pretty big newsroom. Probably still remained sizable to its last day. They often had jobs available. And I went from an intern to an employee almost immediately and had a number of different jobs, as my tweet pointed out, overnight news anchor, traffic and weather, and then into the sports department. Had Dolly Wall yelling over my shoulder, "What are you doing?" Ah! It's a very small office, too, so his voice reverberated off the patio doors. It was interior.
You don't say. So he wasn't like a demure, quiet guy around the office?
Blake, you might want to make an edit there. I never had that. So, yeah.
J.P. McConnell as well, right? Was in his noon once. I was like, I don't know how other people work around here.
The only thing I ever heard from him
the voice of God.
"Good morning, lunch." Called me lunch because I hosted Canucks lunch. He thought I should have my name on the show.
The way he would type, too. He would bang the keyboard. Like, literally, keys would be shooting up as you watched him type out his scripts.
Anyway, lots of gigs, lots of internships at News 1130 for the BCIT folks. So I'm sure Dan Getz, who runs the program out there now, is probably going, okay, where else do we get real-world reps now for these students?
Yeah. I feel for you.
And the jobs that you're telling them that will be available.
I mean, that's the thing. And I know you've struggled a little bit with, I can't go in there and talk to them and just be super cheery and bring out this rosy outlook that just isn't there in the industry anymore. We've had to sort of tailor what we try and tell young people in the business. I often say, like, there's one said about Harvard grads, they don't want to work for anyone. They want to be their own boss, develop their own job, company, what have you. It's sort of the case now, too, in the media side of things. You almost have to find your own niche, develop your own.
I talked to Steve Ewan about a piece, and it just kind of fell out of my mouth, is we used to have jobs, and now we have to create
jobs. That's right.
And we're not trained in that. Like we were not trained in how to create jobs for ourselves and for others, which is what we've ultimately done here.
Just get ahead of the E&O here. Rogers Communications, 49th in Canadian companies.
Really?
With a $25 billion market cap, slightly behind BCE, Bell Canada Enterprises, which
color me shocked. All right.
Was 46. I'll tell you one thing. BCE was not 46 at one point in our lives.
Yeah.
People used to call it Ma Bell. $28 billion market cap. And our old friend Kurt Appleby messaged me and says, "You are missing out on Dollarama, best snack section you will ever see." We got to get them on the show as an advertiser at this point.
Yes.
They got snacks.
I know.
They got a $50 billion market cap. They're the 33rd biggest company in Canada.
As somebody in the chat
Like,
just said,
they're
it's
sitting
actually,
there with Thomson Reuters, for heaven's sakes. Fairfax Financial. Like, I'm looking at all these giants. Power Corporation of Canada. And right in the middle, Sun Life Financial. Dollarama.
somebody pointed
I'll
out, though,
be
it's
damned.
actually the $3 store for the most part. There is a lot of things that are like $2.99 now there. They didn't stick to the theme.
Michael, we're bigger than U.S. Steel, but you're not bigger than Dollarama. They're bigger than Fortis.
Yeah.
They're bigger than Bombardier. It's astonishing. Boy, did I learn something today. They're bigger than Magna. Tell us. Dollarama.
Call us. Dollarama.
Yeah, like, hey. Where's Dollarama's corporate offices? Like, they must own a tower in Toronto that I'm unfamiliar with. Here's the other thing that strikes me as so strange because, look, people ask me all the time, did you see 1040 coming? And my answer is usually, I think I saw it coming more than most. I was aware of some information on the inside, could tell that Bell was sort of losing its appetite for sports programming across the board, really, because, of course, they got out of the TSN national TV rights as well. So I think I was a little more prepared for it than others were at 1040. Look, I'd always had questions about Sportsnet as well. I mean, I knew 650. I knew where they stood in ratings books. Wasn't great. It was a very tough assignment. Like 2017 was an awfully tough time to launch an AM talk radio station because the media world had already fragmented and stratified and gone to a million places and young people weren't listening. But Blake, when they upped and moved their studios a few months ago, I was like, well, you don't go through all the expense and hassle of pulling stations out of their Ash Street location and then rebuilding the studios
sure.
in the West 2nd building, our old building, actually.
That are a year old?
Actually, no, one of the engineers over there is like, oh, yeah, that was not an easy project.
Was it a year there?
Well, it was a few months. They did this back in the winter, spring.
I got an idea how you can save money. You know,
like
you
went through all of that, then to shut down the frequency. A few months later, pull the plug.
Oh my gosh! Make it make sense.
I do want to end on hopefully a positive note here. 5 years ago, when we lost our jobs, I, for about a week, drove him crazy because he just wanted to get on with this show somewhere. But I needed like a week where I basically called every smart person I know, a lot of them in the industry, and asked them for, what do you think the future looks like? And one of the things that kept coming up and up from bright people was, the Canadian media model is broken. Having media concentrated in the hands of Toronto Telecoms, I guess Bell Canada is based in Montreal, but the media division is run out of Toronto. Toronto Telecoms with Toronto-centric decision-making, given our vast geography, it's broken. And more people brought up the idea to me that maybe media has to come completely full circle and come back to the days when it was a local person who owned the newspaper. It was a local person who owned the radio. It was a local person who ran the television station. The Czech folks are a great example over on Vancouver Island. A company-owned, community-owned, employee-owned shop by and for BC, like we always say we are. I do wonder if that day got a little closer because of yesterday, Blake.
Yeah, it's very possible. There has to be viability, obviously, there. I mean, it's funny. The Athletic sort of started with that idea in mind, and then quickly it got so big that they were like, okay, we can sell to the New York Times now. So you might see that, and like, wouldn't this be ironic, Matt, that somebody sometime in the next whatever time period, 5 to 10 years, takes that on, creates a reasonably sized media network, locally owned, and then one of the telecoms goes, that looks like it's doing well.
Yeah,
let's
buy it. Let's offer to buy it. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, because that's the other thing is, as we've gone forward in this life, I would encounter people who used to advertise with us at 1040, so had ad dollars with Bell. In some cases, they now had ad dollars with Rogers. In some cases, both. And, I used to sit there and think, I know they aren't thinking this way. I know they're, in a lot of cases, they have good hearts, and they're just not thinking of it in this regard, is if you're here in BC and you're advertising with Rogers or Bell, can you make the case that you're advertising, investing in your community? Well, yeah, you can, because there are Rogers employees here, there are Bell employees here, they have operations here. But really, at the end of the day, when you think of it, you're just sending your money back to Toronto and Montreal for them to ultimately go out and do things like buy out Larry Tannenbaum of MLSE at the cost of untold billions. Present Gary Bettman in the NHL with an even richer offer on the national rights, despite losing your shirt on the past national rights deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just so much of that ad revenue, economic activity, well, it may start here in BC, winds up outside of our community, being used for purposes that serve the honchos in Toronto. It's sad. I said we wanted to end on a happy note. The other thing I will say, God, I'm not used to doing the show in a suit. This cord mic is getting caught in my blazer. The one thing that you and I both sort of reassured each other in the opening days and hours after 1040 went down was the means of production and the ability to do it, the means of distribution, have never been more available to individual citizens. It is the huge shift that has happened. Like in the old days, you didn't have a printing press, you didn't have a radio station, you didn't have a television station, you had no ability to buy those things.
Matt, 10 years ago,
Here it's
10 years ago to buy a 1080p camera, like you would have had to have bought like a massive, hugely expensive
a television studio was
HD camera.
I mean, it's just insane money.
Now you go to Amazon.
Yeah.
Like,
so, look, there are some people and there are some programs, both at 650 and 1130. I would absolutely encourage them. The means of production, the means of distribution have never been easier. Our parents were simply media consumers. It was an A to B dynamic. They were passive receiver. Maybe they were active receivers negotiating the content on their own, but it was a one-way street. And the difference with kids today is they are just as likely a media producer as they are a media consumer.
yeah.
With social media having taken off, with YouTube and the ability to do your own show at any time of day and just publish right there.
3 old guys like Matt, Mike, and I can do it.
Exactly.
Others can do it as well.
I wanted to get to this story. Did you see what Teddy Bluger said when he got to the Leafs?
Well, yeah, right in the press conference, he was pretty open about it.
And
yeah.
look, we Teddy became quite a truth teller here in Vancouver towards the end. But, oh my, he called it the biggest learning experience of his career. And then if you go halfway down this paragraph, stuff that I took for granted early in my career in Pittsburgh was Sid setting the tone in, practice habits, discipline of showing up on time, being respectful to each other, to the trainers, to the staff, things like that. I think seem like when you take each thing on its own, it seems like a small thing, but you add them all up, it creates an environment within the facility that I think the environment's huge, and it has to be positive. Please tell me you did not have a Canucks culture where they were shitty to the trainers and the staff and not showing up on time.
I absolutely heard that. I can't verify it.
Are you fucking
was not there,
kidding
but
me?
I absolutely heard
Like
that.
you don't have the decency to treat the support staff at Rogers Arena?
And I heard it about a player that remains on the roster to this
Yeah,
point.
I think we're...
I got a couple friends on the staff, used to be on the staff, who have recently parted ways because of how they've been treated the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, look, I knew it was no picnic working for Doyle and the Aquilinis. The corporate side was
corporate
one.
side's one thing, yeah. No,
But
we're talking hockey ops.
I
staff.
thought
Yeah.
the hockey ops staff in the dressing room were pretty copacetic. Like,
I thought they were treated
it
like
is
gold
quite
previously.
rare.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, like Patty, Red, like that whole group.
Sedin era Canucks,
Ron,
that
like
was not happening.
Like they were extraordinary. The players were extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fixing to do. Here's the other thing. This did not immediately dawn on me after the selection of Caleb Malhotra, 3rd overall.
Mm.
There is a pretty good chance that Canada's World Junior entry 26-27 is going to rely heavily on a pair of Vancouver Canucks center prospects. This is a hockey account that does World Junior predictions, rankings, what have you. Do we have this visual, Mike? Yeah, there you go. Again, this isn't the team. This is just his mock team. But there's Caleb Malhotra in the second line.
Getting the rucks, nice.
There is Brendan Coots. Well, the Coots has the rucks on the third line. Now, look, Coots may be a Vancouver Canuck. Coots may be an Abbotsford Canuck. Who knows? Long way to go.
Still could be loaned out, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But look at how this... You'd have the Osuyas twins, the Rucks. You'd have Coots. You'd have Malhotra. You had Reshny, who played his junior hockey in Victoria.
Well, that's some intriguing storylines
Carroll's
for BC hockey fans.
Absolutely. Oh, all over. Ryan Lynn from Richmond's on the team.
Yeah.
DuPont. Verhoff played in Victoria. Carroll's in PG.
Verhoff and DuPont. Can you imagine?
Oh, my goodness.
Not to mention Carlson.
Oh,
too.
my goodness.
That's
Look
the
at that.
defense.
Hey, this could be a lot of fun. We could have a lot of interest in the Canadian World Juniors this coming December.
Yeah.
NHL news, the Utah Mammoth have matched the New Jersey offer sheet for Barrett Hayton. We await word on Anaheim and Leo Carlson. When did they have until?
Friday at 5 p.m. Speaking of Friday, on Friday, we brought you the late breaking news of the Connor Bedard injury over at 8 Rinks.
Yes.
Caught with the Zapruder film there of
Yes.
the
Well, it's just a rink cam, isn't it?
it's what do they call it? I forgot the brand name. But yes, they're in
it's a
many
webcam.
rinks.
Yeah.
But it's a subscription you pay for.
Oh,
anyhow, he's now under the knife.
Yeah.
4 months
Yeah.
he's out
It
from
looked that way.
Scotia Barn 8 Rinks injury.
Yeah.
Playing alongside his local buddies like Mac Goncelebrini and others.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Someone mentioned to me he had canceled tea times after that video. And
Yeah.
I went, oh, God, I think I know what that
no
means.
tea times for at least 4 months, apparently,
that's
for
too
Connor
bad.
Bedard. So
It just looks so innocuous. I couldn't believe, but like you could tell something like when a guy goes off with the shoulder looking like favoring.
his feet
You
might
know-
have got tied up with whoever was with him, but it looked like he went down on his own. But the angle was a little tough to discern that. But it certainly wasn't a body check.
Yeah. All right, let's get to today's menu. It's brought to you by Greta. Fantastic spot to pregame or postgame. It is also an extraordinary spot for your next private function, whether that's a family reunion, a staff party, a team party. You want to check out Greta. They have a private riser at the back. You've got your own full-service bar right there, so you're not going to wait for drinks. You're surrounded by screens. You can put whatever game on you want. And then there's the arcade. It surrounds the bar. There's a game for everyone, whether you're a Pop-A-Shot person. They have life-size Twister, like real-life electronic Twister. I couldn't believe I double-taked when I was like, That's the old game Twister? Yeah.
It would have been
They
great
have
to
the
meet
racing-
Colombians that way.
Yeah.
Last night.
Hey, now.
If you're so inclined.
Little Sofia Vergara on the Twister board, Blake.
Imagine some sheepish guys just inviting visitors from a foreign land. Would you like to play Twister? It's quite a pickup line.
I'm sorry, Greta. We got off track there.
This is what they want.
To
They
book
want-
you, okay.
Yeah.
They could bill Sophia on the Twister track. She is Colombian, right? Not Venezuelan? Am I getting that right?
I think she's Colombian. Yeah, I think
Okay.
she is. Yeah.
To book your event, more information, gretabar.com, Greta50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. Oh, Mike, do we have Jody or John coming up here first?
John.
We have John. Okay, John Shannon's going to join. Recorded this earlier. He was doing the soccer show, so you're not going to see him. But we talked to, Shannon's an Oliver, BC guy. He lived in Alberta. He's made his home in Toronto. He's run a national entity hockey night in Canada. So we'll talk to him about the events in Canadian sports media, and especially the Sports Talk radio station here in Vancouver. We'll talk to him about the FIFA picture show, as he put it, and as a TV guy, what he thought of the proceedings here in our city and across the continent. He also had Caleb Malhotra on his recent 100% Canucks podcast. And then Jody Vance is going to join us. And Jody's a longtime Vancouver broadcaster. She's one of the builders of Sportsnet in the early days of the Sportsnet television network. Jody was there each and every morning, a cup of coffee with your morning sports highlights. She is back here, has been back here in Vancouver for a long time. Hosting her own podcast on Spun, contributing to others. But someone who could speak to, needless to say, the media business, what we're going through here in Vancouver with this FIFA World Cup experience, but then also what's to come. Whitecaps, stadium sites. The real work begins here.
Mm-hmm.
Like school, School gets back in session here soon in terms of
The real world.
doing the work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have Jody on later in the program. We'll talk more World Cup. We'll talk some baseball. We'll talk some football. We'll talk some tennis, where there's an extraordinary story going on at Wimbledon, and talk some basketball as well. Time now for our Bet365 Bets of the Day. Blake, I took a future yesterday, but I took this future before knowing the important stuff in World Cup handicapping. Mike, can we bring up the graphic here? The round of 16, the winning countries were the countries that had more sheep per square kilometer.
Not more sheep en masse.
More sheep per square kilometer.
Right.
Where it must be said, England and Morocco are going to be tough to beat going forward if this trend holds. Morocco with 44.56 sheep per square kilometer to a mere 11.96 for France. Les Bleus are in tough. Norway, you're laughable at 6.49 sheep per square kilometer. England, destroy them. Spain, it looks down its nose at Belgium. How do you only have 3 sheep per square kilometer? I realize it's a smaller country. Does anybody eat lamb in Belgium? And then there's Argentina, Switzerland, where Argentina actually has way more sheep. 14 to 15 million sheep in Argentina. Only 400K for Switzerland. But by kilometer, it's the Swiss. So, Blake, I don't have the guts for Morocco. But give me Spain at minus 163. Give me England at minus 110. And then we make it all up when the Swiss beat Messi at plus 475.
I knew you were into stats. I didn't know that you were into analytics. Scottish Open. Corey Connors, top 10 finish, plus 8:50 we get set for the Open
Are
Championship.
you sure they haven't teed off already?
Analytics.
I'm embarrassed for you. Please stop.
No, midnight. They tee off.
Worst thing about hockey season is that some point every year it ends. There's a lot of time between now and the next puck drop. The good news, Bet365 still has plenty of games, just none that require lacing up skates. At Bet365 Casino, you can choose between hundreds of slots, live tables, and your favorite games, or at least your second favorite games. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. John Shannon is next. Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center, and boy, we're all sitting here feeling so much pride about how our city looked, huh, Mike, at the World Cup? Let's go to the Okanagan. John Shannon on the east side of Skaha Lake. It doesn't look much prettier than that. Who joins us, the most famous man from Oliver, British Columbia, back in his home province. I hope it's treating you well, Mr. Shannon.
It has been fantastic. I can tell you right now that I have donated a great deal of revenue to Predator Ridge, Sagebrush and Merritt, and obviously my favorite course in the country, Fairview Mountain in Oliver. So,
yes. Well, great to have you back here, the former executive producer of Hockey Night in Canada. And, well, someone we like to talk to when there are matters with our industry, Mr. Shannon. Another sad day yesterday with 230 people losing their jobs as Rogers shuttered stations in 4 cities, including the sports talks in Vancouver and in Calgary. Talk to me, my friend. What do you think the future of sports talk radio, terrestrial sports talk radio, is after yesterday?
Well, terrestrial sports talk radio is on its last legs. I think that's a reality of what we're witnessing in our country. And let's face it, sports talk radio has had its ups and downs in the United States as well. I mean, a lot of the big companies that invested in sports talk in the United States have gone through bankruptcies and reconstruction of companies in order to make it work. The frustration, I think, for all of us and is that there are more sports than ever before. There are more sports fans than ever before. And it's just now, how do we deliver the content to the viewer and to the listener? Matt, when you started working, whether it was the Ottawa Senators or the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Canucks, not every game was televised. And there was not really an expectation that every hockey game would be televised. That's just not the case anymore. And so the viewing public is now used to being able to watch everything all the time. And so it really demotes what radio stands for. And therefore, the technology that is AM radio becomes quite antiquated quite quickly. I mean, one of the reasons sports talk radio is going away, Matt, is the success of shows like yours. And that's the evolution of sports, the sports media world. I mean, people... and I tried to explain this yesterday to a young guy from the Sun, that newspapers went through this 20 years ago, and now radio's going through it. And if you don't evolve and if you don't change, then you die. And that's exactly what is happening with terrestrial radio, with the cost it takes to create terrestrial radio, transmission. Studio costs, in addition to the cost it is of putting people on the air.
Yeah. We were even saying yesterday, John, the only people who were left listening to hockey games were those stuck in their car. But even then, maybe only the driver. the passengers might just be watching it on their phone, right?
Exactly. And that's so that's, the hard part isn't that sports talk radio's gone. The hard, because it will reappear, it will manifest itself some other way, some thing will occur that allows it to happen. But it's the 230 people. And that's where, for guys like you and me, it hits home even deeper, because we've been through that. It's not fun. And when you have to worry about mortgage payments and you have to worry about where you're going to work next, then it really does hit home.
I said yesterday that I want to go down this road carefully, because needless to say, Blake and I were not unbiased, right? Like, we were in a sports talk radio war here in Vancouver against 650. So I mean this with the utmost respect, and that is, I think it was a poorly conceived station for when it launched, John, 2017. Like, the audience stratification was already upon us, right? Like, starting a sports talk radio station in the late 90s or early 2000s, it's kind of the heyday, right? Like, you were seeing shows like your old show with Bob McGowan was #1 in the market in Toronto. Mike and the Mad Dog were #1 in New York City. Pratt and Taylor were #1 here in Vancouver. There was a massive appetite for sports talk on radio. But when we got to 2017, I'm not necessarily sure that same appetite was there. I was really surprised when Rogers decided, oh, yeah, we're going to make a big bet on Canucks radio rights, and then had to go about the expensive business of buying a frequency and setting up a sports talk around it.
Partnering in so many different ways, whether it be at the arena, whether it be on TV for the rights, was to find a way to compete with what Bell was doing in the market. At the same time, taking risks, there's nothing wrong with taking a risk every once in a while, and maybe it works. In the scheme of things, when it comes to dollars, this is a drop in the bucket for a conglomerate like Rogers, a drop in the bucket. But it's at certain points they feel they probably have to focus on their core businesses. And that can find a way to and look at the long run of what it's going to take for making sure and maintain a certain level of technical integrity for a radio station. It's difficult. Internet radio is a fact of life. You're internet radio, whether you like it or not. You're internet radio, and so the fact that you and I can converse, and the guy in Dawson Creek can listen to us on his phone at any time he wants. That's a positive, but with that positive comes change, and with that positive comes a shift, and so the shift occurred yesterday. Again, the fact that the radio stations are gone. Yeah, it's sad. That's part sad, but people will still consume. But it's the jobs that matter the most.
Yeah. One of the things that we heard yesterday from sports fans in British Columbia, and I saw some of it in Calgary as well, they lost their sports talk radio station too, is that it is no coincidence that this news comes one day after Rogers completed its purchase of Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, buying Larry Tannenbaum out, and that they view, the sports fans out here view it as, this is Toronto silencing our markets, shutting down community assets in Vancouver and Calgary in order to finance more in Toronto on the sports and media side of things. Do you think they're related? And do you think the guys at Bell and Rogers understand, when they do this, the effect it has on Canadian disunity, or lack of unity, Western alienation, if you will?
I will address this the second part first. I think there are times where there's a little bit of misunderstanding west of Yonge Street of what happens in our country, and understanding how important things are to Western Canadians. I think that as someone who has lived in both areas, I think the understanding what Western Canada stands for and what it believes in, you have to be respectful. But the bottom line is that if it's not building revenue, then at a certain point you have to fish or cut bait. Do I think that the closing of these radio stations is anywhere related to what happened with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment? No. You know, the jobs yesterday, the radio stations across the country, because I mean Kitchener lost a radio station, Halifax lost a radio station. Those things, and by the way, you know, I'm a radioaholic, and I've listened to it for my whole life, probably from the time I was 4 years old. We lost in our country two of the great AM radio stations in the last 80 years in CKWX and CFAC in Calgary. We are talking iconic brand call letters in those two, and that has nothing to do with the two sports stations.
Yep.
So, but the thing is, the revenue from this media decision yesterday was coins in the sofa. That's all it was. It was coins in the sofa. But that became, you know, how many employees, you know, all of the, you know, the pensions that they pay for those people. It became a line item in a major corporation, but in no way, when we're talking about millions of dollars, probably small millions of dollars in the radio world versus billions of dollars for MLSE, I don't think they're related at all.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, John, you're the perfect guy to ask, because you're a British Columbian, born and raised in Oliver. You lived in Alberta. You've made your home in Toronto or suburban Toronto. But you've also run a Canadian institution, right, in Hockey Night in Canada. And so there just seems to be a disconnect now on the ground, on streets of Vancouver, Calgary, basically anywhere but Toronto, about what it means and what the responsibility is if you're running a Canadian company. Like, you have to cast your gaze broader than the GTA. Like, there was a big do when the Shaw sign came down, John, off the building here in downtown Vancouver, and the Rogers sign went back on. And, you know, I'd love to ask somebody in a Rogers boardroom today, do you understand what you're doing to your cable, internet, cell phone, like all your core business endeavors that you're trying to get a further pigeonhole, toehold in Vancouver in the West, when you make decisions like this and take away community assets that people feel strongly about? Okay, you may save it on the line item on the budget, but what's the cost to your core business for people who get so upset at your company and refuse to support it in its other endeavors?
So the answer is what? And support the other company out of Montreal? You know, and now, so then you say, well, okay, well, then I'm gonna switch. I'm not going to Rogers. I'm not going to Bell. I'm going to switch to TELUS. Right? I mean, so that's. I mean, I was part of that world, Matt, in the late '70s, early '80s, when people were mad at the NHL not going to Winnipeg and Edmonton, and there were bullet holes through the Molson brewery office in Winnipeg when the Jets were not going to be considered to rejoin the NHL in '79. That's, you know, that those days are a little different now, but you do have to be a little concerned about that. Just as a point, you know, and this is not about me, but you know, when you do run something like Hockey Night in Canada, you have to be respectful, not of the big cities. You have to be respectful of what it means to Estevan, Saskatchewan, and what it means to Prince George, you know, and what it means to Fort McMurray, because that's where your real hardcore hockey fan lives. And I think in my time, that was our biggest success, because we didn't need to speak to the Toronto Maple Leaf fan that lived in North York. He was going to watch anyway, but we needed to speak to Canadians across the country. And hence, I think that's what we did with the doubleheader, what we did with Hockey Day in Canada. and we did with so many other things that made it exciting and unified our country, as opposed to saying that, at that point, the 6 Canadian teams, now 7 Canadian teams, that's all we care about. But, all those people in between those 6 or 7 cities, they're really the important hockey fan for us to talk to.
Yeah, and Ron McLean is just encyclopedic about this.
He's brilliant
country.
at that. That's his strength. That's his strength.
You're 100%. I will also agree. It was a good day to be a TELUS executive yesterday. I imagine there was some high-fiving going on in the TELUS Tower down here on West Georgia. Our first chance to talk to you, my friend, since we're talking about hockey night here at the end of an institution. How wistful are we, Mr. Shannon?
Well, I mean, it is a nostalgic moment. There still will be hockey on Saturday nights. It just won't be on the CBC. And so we'll still be able to get every Canuck game that exists on Saturday nights. And in many ways, you just hope that, again, beyond the 7 Canadian NHL cities, that Rogers is able to reach everybody. That was the magic of the CBC. You could reach the North. You could reach the outlying districts that had very few TV channels. So that will become a real challenge. I mean, the difference at one point was CBC was in 13 million homes, and whatever Rogers owned, whether it be City or Sportsnet, was in 9 or 10. So what's where is the delta going to go? How is that 3 or 4 million homes or people going to be able to watch hockey on Saturday nights and watch the playoffs?
You had young Caleb Malhotra on your 100% Canucks podcast. Yeah. What did you think of the young man? Well-spoken,
polite. He's got a tough act to follow because, his dad's going to be coaching here while he's at BU. But I think the hope is by the end of next season, he's wearing a Canuck sweater after his college hockey season ends. I was impressed. I thought as a young man, he was raised well. He spoke earnestly of his time in Brantford, playing for the Bulldogs, and had he not already committed to playing at BU, he would have stayed in Brantford because he loved it so much and he loved the passion of the hockey fans there. And that spoke to me that, in his heart, he probably wanted to stay in Brantford, but he had already given his word. And that speaks of good family values of his mom and dad and what they have done to raise him. And let's just hope he can reflect the positive nature of his personality on the ice.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we're hearing from Canucks fans, John, since the selection. I hope he plays as well as the character and the integrity and everything that Ryan Johnson and the Canucks said about the young man and everything that he's demonstrated to us. Back on the media and television side, you were a television producer by trade, my friend. This World Cup thing has been pretty good television over the last month. And boy, our cities, and particularly Vancouver, has been really good television even outside of the games themselves. A word or two about what you're seeing on your screen from this World Cup, maybe even about our friends at TSN at Jackpool Plaza there with the North Shore backdrop, huh?
Yeah, I tell you what, it has been, first of all, those of us get a little jaded about what FIFA stands for and what FIFA is, but we have witnessed firsthand the power of FIFA, and that really extends to television too, because for the most part, we're not watching TSN pictures, we're not watching Fox pictures, we're watching FIFA pictures, and FIFA, creates the television and creates the environment and builds those pre-game ceremonies, and they have been consistently good. We all doubted whether they could fill all of these stadiums all the time. Well, it has become magical. I would tell you right now, in reading some storylines about the whole event, the soccer capitals of North America are in the Pacific Northwest. What Vancouver has done with its downtown stadium and the aura that has listed all through downtown and what they've done in Seattle, it is absolutely amazing. And you can understand how the soccer fans in the Northwest have really, really glommed on to what has gone on with this tournament. I could only imagine, it was a pipe dream. I could only imagine if Canada had ever beaten Switzerland and they had played at home, how electric it would have been. It would have been as good as, if not better than, the Americans playing Belgium in Seattle the other night. It's been tremendous. It has overall, and here's the other thing, because it's not just a single city venue, Matt. You know, this is not like an Olympics. This is actually bigger than Olympics. It's bigger because there's 16 or 17 cities involved all over North America, from Mexico City to Toronto to Vancouver to Los Angeles. It's been magnificent. And you have to wonder if the IOC would be looking at this type of thing and saying, well, maybe we should be considering rebranding and rebuilding our Olympic movement to have 4 cities host the Olympics. You know, if for the sake of argument, a Winter Games that existed in Quebec City, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto, wouldn't that be something? Because when you go to an Olympic city, it's one venue and it's one city, and the focus is there. But the focus has been on the continent, which I think has been just as exciting as anything else.
Yep. No, and you're quite right. All the accolades that we're getting here in Vancouver for the job we did, and John, like, I am so impressed with the organization and the collaboration between FIFA and organizers here on the ground in Vancouver, like what Jackpool Plaza has become, really thanks to TSN putting their set there. What Granville Street has become as a pedestrian mall, which is now going to stay a pedestrian mall through the end of summer. The scene at the Fan Fest with the new amphitheater out at the PNE. Heck, Mike walks by the shipyards every day in North Vancouver and the watch parties that they're having there. It's just, it seems like you go to all quarters of the city, or at least the big population zones in the cities, and you're having these reach out and touch experiences with the rest of the world that's visiting. It's been very similar to the 2010 vibe we got here during those 18
I was going to
days
say we shouldn't be surprised. We shouldn't be surprised about Vancouver after what we all witnessed firsthand in 2010, and between Vancouver and Whistler, what the whole city embraced, and that was the launching pad for so many things that have made Vancouver that world-class city. You know, and I know that, listen, there are those of us that go back to the 70s and 80s that always thought Vancouver was a world-class city, but it really did change in 2010, and now it's magnified again in 2026.
Yep. Marvelous stuff. We will let you get back to fairways and greens on the east side of Skaha Lake in beautiful Penticton, British Columbia. John, thanks for this. Great catching up.
Just one quick plug, BC Hockey Hall of Fame event this Saturday in Penticton.
That's right.
If you're in the area, please consider coming. It's going to be a great event honoring Josh Georges, Travis Green, Andrew Ladd, Malcolm Ashford, the former NHL referee, and then the Vernon Vipers of 2009, 2010 that were Centennial Cup winners. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be fun. It's being produced a little differently this year, and I think it's going to be a much greater entertainment value. So if you're in Penticton or in the South Okanagan, give it a go-to at the home of the Penticton V's, the South Okanagan Entertainment Center.
Well, if Daryl Ray is speaking, you know it's going to be entertaining. I see Mr. Ray.
Yeah, we just have to make sure Daryl only does his. Daryl only has to do his 5 minutes only, though.
I was going to say,
we got to keep him down to 5 minutes.
His 5 minutes, not his 45 minutes after dinner. Awesome stuff, John. Thanks for this. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the event.
Cheers.
Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center. Our next guest is a Vancouver broadcast legend. She's a Sportsnet builder. She's a talk show host. I'm going to find out what she's got going on here with Sitka Media. And she's a kids pool advocate. And Blake Price, find yourself someone who loves you. Like Jody Vance loves Kit's Pool.
Did I see you are doing T-shirts? Did I see you are doing? Because you should have T-shirts.
Merch is in the works, as they say. The gauntlet has been picked up by the lovely people of Jackson's General Store.
Oh,
and they asked if they could be a part of it, if they could do something like, and he's in Mariloma, and he had all these reasons, there's heritage
free the
reasons
pool,
free Kids Pool.
Yeah.
And if you're unaware, if you don't follow Jody, she just wants to be able to show up at Kids Pool without an online reservation, buy a ticket, and walk into Kids Pool. They have capacity. It
seems
sort
reasonable.
of how pools work.
Seems reasonable
in other places.
It seems reasonable. There's the slogan. There's the slogan I've been looking for. It seems reasonable. I mean, the park board needs a win, doesn't it? Like, open the pool. It's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week, first come, first serve, 1,800 capacity, 80 plus years at work. Let's put it back to that. How about
let's
prove me wrong?
Jody's sitting there with the table and her sign outside of Kids Pool. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. We've set our bid on Kids Pool.
Yes, we have.
We wanted to bring you on because, as I said, a Sportsnet builder. For those who don't remember, Sportsnet in its earlier days, as it was getting its footing as a sports media entity across this country, Jody Vance was hosting the morning program and bringing us.
Was there a pit stop VTV to Sportsnet, or was it straight VTV to Sportsnet?
It was straight VTV to Sportsnet because at the time VTV was CTV, and at the time Sportsnet was CTV Sportsnet, and then it split off. And Yes. I was very fortunate to be. Actually, Brad Fay and I were both part of the rehearsal show from the Pacific region for Sportsnet when it launched. I didn't move to Toronto until 2000, but yeah, I filled in the summer of 99, and I was absolutely over my skis and thrilled. And when somebody says you want to do the thing that you've always dreamt of doing, you don't say no.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I was like, well, I guess I'll try.
This is why I wanted to bring you on. I mean, you had a big stake in building the Sportsnet brand to the point where it opens a radio station out here, but you're also a talk show host, and you were telling us just off air here that News 1130 really hit home with you yesterday as well, the loss of that iconic station here in our city.
Yeah, I mean, the industry is competitive, as we all well know, but it is also a very close-knit group of people who love what they do and work really, really hard to create an environment that appears to be very easy, right? Like, it's effortless for you guys to do what you do every day. You put a lot of work into it. So there are a lot of people yesterday who unceremoniously were relieved of their duties en masse, and I'm sad beyond what words can really say, because you're not in radio until you've been fired in radio. Like, you learn that day one, right? Like, that's going to happen. It's not personal. It's the business. Somebody changes up top. They want to bring in their person, whatever. But to see an entire radio station or brand go dark, as we saw with TSN radio in Vancouver, you guys well know, it's like stunning. It's a jolt. It makes you feel, it makes me feel anyway, extremely sad for what could have been, for what might have been, how the industry has shifted and changed. And yet here we are, and we're going to talk sports. So it's not going to kill the genre. It's not going to take away the necessity of breaking down, how do you think Thatcher Demko's knee is? Like, we're going to need to talk about, what Petey's doing or not doing, especially with this new front office. There's so much to talk about, and people love it. My email inbox and my text threads were filling up with, well, I guess we're going to go watch Sakaris and Price more or listen to those guys in the morning. So it's a shift, but it's a shift that's difficult. It's a changing landscape that is full of turbulence, I guess.
I was asked if I was surprised, and I said I wasn't, Jody, but I said you also didn't know if it was going to happen a year ago or a year from now, 2 years from now. So you still get surprised by it in it's lowercase s, but you're still surprised by it, even though intellectually it's coming.
Sometimes things get buried on a Friday. Sometimes things get buried on a FIFA.
Do you think that was part of it, really?
Absolutely.
Really?
How do we put this in the busiest news cycle moment so it only has a shelf life of a handful of hours, and there's a lot going on, like always. But we're just, I mean, Wimbledon and FIFA. I'm like back and forth and back and forth. Don't ask me about the Blue Jays because I haven't had a chance to watch. Like, it's just
you don't want to watch right now. Yeah.
Okay, there's a little bit of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, then let's move on to a happier topic since you brought up FIFA. You've hosted and worked big sporting events around the world, the Invictus Games here last year. I remember chatting to you about that. But what were your expectations for Vancouver going into this whole FIFA experiment? And now that the final match has been played, what did you make of the last month here in our city, Jody?
I mean, going in, I was like, this is way too much money for how much we need doing in this province, in this country. Like,
not alone there.
It's a lot of money. And yet at the same time, pull that hat off and look around. Born and raised Vancouverite, couldn't be more proud. Couldn't be more impressed. Loved every single tick off the clock, even those that left me a little heartbroken for my team. I was in Sicily when the World Cup started here. And I'm walking through this beautiful ancient village, and there are, in the piazza, and there's like this gorgeous little patio restaurant with a massive TV screen because Italy, World Cup. And there's Vancouver. Mm. And that's when I learned that Vancouver had been chosen as the top FIFA destination for these World Cup games. And I was just like, yeah. Like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. I like the Science World Ball. I like the big flag on Grouse Mountain. I love the fact that the TSN panel is sitting down there at Jackpool Plaza with that unbelievable backdrop. And even when it got rainy, even when it was windy and rainy sideways, I'm like, yep.
It's a little bit of
and
us
I love
too.
the way there you go. And the way the people have shown up, right? The filling of Granville Street and the march to the stadium and getting after it. I love it. I mean, that's why we love sports, I think, isn't it?
And we'll see a final bill, I'm sure. And I don't know how accurate the final bill will be because I don't know how accurately they can determine, Elf Furniture Warehouse running out of beer, 5 nights out of 7,
right.
They had beer the night I was there. It should be noted. They did a really good job, actually.
How can they really accurately measure what it did for business? Anyhow, there will be a bill, but you know what? There is a cost to having fun and having all this too. So it doesn't have to be, to me, it doesn't have to be break even or certainly not profit making. We spend money fixing up the Royal BC Museum, things that we like cost money.
The amphitheater at the PNE and perhaps a car-free pedestrian mall Granville will be part of the legacy here. Yeah. So,
and most importantly, guys, the part of the legacy that you can really not put a dollar figure on is, or maybe the government of British Columbia could, is what this will do for the sport moving forward for kids. Investment in sport in this province at the grassroots level to give kids the hope, the dream that one day they could be Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, or, pick your guy, or, pick anyone from Team Canada now who is inspired. They really can think I could put on the maple leaf and play soccer for my country. And that's special and needs the investment.
And to be clear, I'm not saying that you sign up to get flogged by FIFA either. There is a negotiation to be had, but things do cost money. That was more my point.
It just felt like $798 million for 7 games was steep. It felt steep.
When you say it out loud, yes.
Especially when you look at what other communities were spending. It still could be steep. It's still like an audit of this thing. I'll say that much. You can have it both.
Yeah.
You can have it both ways.
Audit.
And like now here comes the aftermath, Jody. And okay, so we're all bigger soccer fans. Is it going to be enough to save the Whitecaps? Like we could lose our soccer team after the single biggest soccer festival we've ever seen in this country.
That's the craziest irony, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And even my dogs are mad. I don't know if you can hear my dogs.
I was going to say the dogs are quite upset. Perhaps there was news about Kit's Pool staying with the online reservation system that broke in the last 10 minutes.
Infantino's trying to get into the interview. I don't know.
Scout! Stop! Jeez. Delivery. Anyway, sorry guys. The Whitecaps. I can't square the circle on how unbelievable the ride has been for the Whitecaps, and then we lose them. Like,
just can't be.
I mean, but I get that the outlay of cash versus what it's worth now, and if somebody's just looking at dollars and cents, and there's money on the table to buy that at this peak, I mean, yes, also, but no.
There's a high-level meeting happening in the coming days. And
that's all I get to know.
There is optimism afoot, but again, until there's a document, until there's hard cash and all that, I'm not telling people to count chickens here, but there is optimism, whereas 5 weeks ago there was none, Jody. So that's,
I will take that hope and I will wear it.
Mm-hmm.
I will wear it.
We'll see.
You've got a long history with baseball.
I do.
Apparently there's a bid trying to get organized to bring Major League Baseball to Vancouver, Jody. What are your thoughts there?
The experts that I've spoken to on this subject don't know that it would be sustainable in this market, because we have so many other things to do in this market. And, especially when it's like, you got to build a stadium downtown. It's like, oh God, there's no more room downtown. It's $95 to park downtown. Like, it's honestly, like, I would love it. More sport, better sport. Let's go. I mean, I'm down. If it's robust and well supported and well thought out. From the people that I've spoken to, I don't know that there is that appetite for it. When we have a struggling fan base with the BC Lions, we have, upheaval with the Whitecaps. There are a lot of games in baseball, guys.
Yeah, there is. That's it.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of inventory. Blake and I talked about it. It's the most expensive season ticket because you have to buy, if you're going the full poll, you're buying 81 games, right?
Data center, Major League Baseball stadium, neither or both. What are you voting for?
Neither. Neither in downtown.
Yes.
There's no reason to do either of those things in downtown Vancouver. There's not enough room already. And we need more housing than we need more stadiums and data centers. Like, we just need, let's build the buildings on the old expo site. Come on. Toodlemont.
I hear you. We do have to do something about that parking lot site, South Canby, by Olympic Village there, because, that is just not a great use of waterfront space. We also have to do something about the old Molson plant at the foot of Burrard Bridge, which has turned into the scar on the face of Vancouver. Jody and I live reasonably close to each other, Blake. As a matter of fact, we sometimes find ourselves at the same bar watching the first period of Canucks games, and sometimes only one period, right, Jody? It's 3-0 after 20.
Oh,
yes, you know what? Maybe it's time to go home.
Watch the rest at home, yes.
Exactly. But no, you're quite right. Space is expensive here, and to be able to do these stadium projects only adds to the cost. Tell me what you got going on with Sitka Media, because, we're sitting here talking about Toronto Telecoms closing down our legacy radio stations, and you made note of the fact that, hey, we're on our own here independently in the digital space doing content by British Columbians for British Columbia. You're doing the same thing with Sitka Media. Tell us what you got going on there.
Doing a little independent stuff and going to be doing some more stuff on my own on Substack with my freelance company, because I've been freelance now for, long time. 12 years or something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Sitka Media, Jared Yeager, who is in charge of the editor-in-chief, reached out to me. He had followed along on the free Kids Pool campaign that I started last summer. For some people, they're like, why is she mad about the pool this year? No, I was mad about the pool last year too. Trying to get it open for the community, not open for me, but for a generation of kids who need access. And Jared really picked up on the story when he was working elsewhere. And I had never really heard of him. And yet we found each other communicating, and he was amplifying the story and was doing some really cool things in and around it. And he was known to have worked in a couple of more right-leaning publications, online publications back then. But whatever. I mean, like, you do you, boo. And then I was approached by Jared under the banner of what was going to be launched as Sitka, and asked if I would have a discussion with them. And one of the main investors, Vesna, popped on the call with and was like, we're just wondering if you would do anything to be a part of it. And I laid out my, I'm not going to be a part of anything that's going to play in disinformation. And I'm, if somebody's going to say that they don't believe in science, I'm out. If they're like, I have my boundaries, but I also feel that free speech is necessary and important. And they said, oh yeah, no. Oh, okay. And then they said, we're wondering if maybe you'd do a podcast for us or something. And I'm like, well, I already do a podcast with George Affleck. Like, we do Unspun every week on Thursdays, and I've been doing it for 6 years. And they're like, oh, well, can we just buy that podcast? And I'm like, sure. So that was like the extent of it. And then they said, we negotiated what price would be. And then it was like, we'll pay you X number of dollars to write for our platform, anything you want to write about, and, carte blanche on that. And I thought, well, that sounds nice. And it's non-exclusive. I work for myself. So it felt like a cool BC startup. I kind of love a startup.
Yeah. Well,
I did it for the Orca.
And I love the fact that you're doing local stories and local coverage here.
Thanks.
And local discussion and exchange of ideas.
A little bit of a poke at the... I keep getting asked to run for office. I've been asked to run for mayor twice, for council twice, and park board 4 times. Let me state again for the 1000th time. Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Never running for office.
Yeah.
Never.
Okay.
Ever. That is not my jam.
Okay, because we do have to get nomination papers in here quickly because we got a municipal election. So I'll work on this. I'll work on this file, Blake, when next I see her.
This is the problem with politics,
and
though. It doesn't attract smart people.
No,
well, it should.
That,
I know, it's supposed to be the best and brightest.
We've got a smart person here who has good takes and
she doesn't
want to run.
Yeah.
My husband is awesome, and he supports me in absolutely everything I do. And
Except
when I was very first asked to run in he goes, it will not make you happy. And he's right. It would not make me happy. And that doesn't mean I won't be super active in my community. And I'm not a one issue person. It's just not all about Kids Pool. It's just all about Kids Pool right now. And we'll get to other stuff later, but I'm going to be active and trying to be as informed as possible and inform my neighbors. Like, I love that you guys brought up Kids Pool right away, because when people are like, she's just a mad woman talking about it on her social media. No, I bring it up in every room I'm in. I talk about it at the Safeway in the produce department with the stranger that comes out to me and says, thank you for doing it. I can't get into the pool anymore. I'm like, I'm going to open the pool.
I would embrace the mad woman thing. That's fine. You're allowed to be that as well.
Yeah.
Get that T-shirt. Get that T-shirt done. Mad woman.
Gosh. Right. Yes, I'm that crazy woman.
Merch is on the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like I can just see the discussion. Honey, I want to do a morning show. I'm going to be up at 3:34 every morning on the air at 6. Go ahead. Honey, I want to get into politics. No.
That used to be the only interaction I'd have with Jody is I would be leaving the 2 a.m. Sports Center, because Sports Center and TSN were weirdly on the same locale at this time.
I remember that.
I'm leaving at 3 in the morning. Jody's driving in. I see, oh my God, she's reporting to work. I get to go to bed now.
Yeah.
I still don't know how morning radio people.
Oh my God.
I survived. That was the only time in my life that I was, quote unquote, relieved of my duties. My golden handcuffs were taken off. Was when Scott Moore and Michael Gillings was the executive, and they sat me down in the boardroom after my morning shift, and Scott said, "We're taking you off mornings," and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" And he goes, "Don't you want to know where we're putting you?" And I'm like, oh,
right.
I still get to work here?
It's off mornings.
Okay. And that's when they told me you're going to 6. You're going to the 6 p.m. I'm like, excuse me.
There is an hour called that. Yes.
Yeah. And Jody was like, now I'm in the heart of Toronto rush hour traffic. I'm not sure this is better. I'll be losing hours on my day. At Unspun Podcast, Jody Vance, George Affleck, also the work she's doing with Sitka media, and of course, freeing Kit's pool. Jody called into our very first show in the digital space just to say, guys, love that what you started here, and best of luck. 5 years later, Jody, we're still going. You're still going 5 years later on Unspun. Great job, and thanks for the time here today.
Of course. I'll come back anytime. Love you guys.
Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center in the Nation Network studio built by Arbor Lee. Game night turns into a game weekend here at the Wall. From puck drop to last call, everything you need is right outside your door. Stay where the fans stay. wallcenter.com. Well, the World Cup quarterfinals are now set, and look at how delicious these matchups are.
Pretty good.
France versus Morocco. Of course, there's a history there.
There
with
is.
the French in North Africa.
There's a few empires that are very good at soccer, so they've got a lot of their former colonies.
This is true.
Yeah.
Spain would be another empire.
Oh, look, there's another. Actually, two empires. One that goes way back with the Vikings, and then there's the Brits.
They used to row boats, Blake.
In fact, this used to be quite the empirical rivalry way back.
I was going to say, in the 13th century, Norway, England had some juice to it.
It
let
really
me tell you.
It really did.
As the Vikings invaded Scotland and all of the British Isles. Spain, Belgium, because if Belgium plays like they did Monday at Lumen in destroying the United States, Spain is going to have their hands full.
The question is, can they play that well?
My goodness.
Spain's on the other end trying to thwart that, right?
So Spain hasn't played as well. And I got to say, like De Bruyne, Lukaku didn't even play a lot of the match for Belgium on Monday. I mean, England, Norway, what can you say? Harry Kane versus Erling Haaland. I mean, as delicious as it gets with a 1v1 matchup. And then Argentina by the hairs on Lionel Messi's chin through Cape Verde.
They've made it interesting. They have made it interesting.
2 goals back versus Egypt. And Blake, I was telling Mike, my first foray really in covering international sports came in 2007. I covered the FIBA Olympic qualifier in Las Vegas. So men's basketball to qualify for the China Olympics. And of course, the USA had not won the gold medal in Athens, so they were at the tournament alongside Canada, Mexico, and then the South American countries, Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela. Every other country had like a television play-by-play crew and a radio play-by-play crew. The Argentines rolled like 6 to 8 broadcast crews deep. I still don't know the explanation. It seemed like every station in Argentina sent their own crew to cover it. And what I soon became aware of was...
Were they wearing Argentine colors?
Yes.
Yes.
They weren't simply play-by-play people. No. Like, they were like...
hype men.
The leaders of the fan base there. Yeah. Like, they would get the fan chants going from the broadcast booth. It was the damnedest thing. And look, yesterday you could only imagine the angst that is coursing through all these Argentines as they're down 2 goals to Egypt and thinking, this is where the great Lionel Messi ends, right? This is where our reign as World Cup champions ends. Well, the comeback was on. Here is the call of that late Argentina goal yesterday, courtesy of play-by-play man Pablo Giralt.
Para Nico González, para Argentina, va Nico. Toca atrás para Paredes. Deja rápido para Julián. Vamos Argentina. Es una tromba Argentina, ahora va con todo. Viene Enzo mirando. La deja para Julián y otra vez para Enzo. Abierta esperando a Leo. Toma la pelota Enzo. Deja para Julián que la entrega para Messi. Va hacia la siembra el 10. Va Messi, mete el centro. Otra vez para Leo. Otro centro más de Messi. Va pasado. A ver que le pega Messi al arco. ¡Gol! ¡Vamos Argentina, carajo! ¡Vamos Argentina, carajo! 2-2, campeón del mundo. Acá está el campeón del mundo. Vamos Argentina de mi vida. Nunca quedarse por vencido. 2-2. Vamos Leo de mi vida. Vamos leyenda. Leo de mi vida y de mi corazón. Vamos leyenda. Vamos Leo viejo nomás. Vamos Leo viejo nomás. 2-2 Juan Pablo. Esto no ha terminado. No termina hasta que suene la campana, compañero.
No termina.
2-2.
I love that he
No,
didn't.
termina. It's not over yet.
I love that he didn't default to the go.
No.
Because that is so overplayed by all the
Oh,
Spanish broadcasters.
Oh, yeah, no. This is next level. This is why we played it.
Yeah, very, very good. And
I understood goal. Messi, vamos, Argentina until the end. No termino. We're not done.
absolutely hoarse screaming.
Yes. Well, and if you're not watching on YouTube or a visual platform, you're missing some there because the visuals are extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like he is literally shaking, vibrating, slamming the table in front of him, grabbing people in his midst.
Well, and people have, a lot of the younger reporters too have got the education that you show up to a press conference and, you know, the Ecuadorian reporters wearing the Ecuadorian kit.
Yes, that's right.
Like, and we
do it differently.
We have admitted that on a different scale, you know, international hockey and soccer is the one time where we allow ourselves a little bit to cheer from our seats here, not in the press box, but our seats here at the very least. Mm-hmm. They take it to an next level. They blow past where we are and are wearing the kit, and they jump up and scream in the press box. I'm not judging.
Again, like they're leading the chants. Like
Yeah.
they are leading the fans in the stadium in their chants
Yeah, I mean,
and their
it's,
songs.
and you know what? I actually get I'm presuming it's just for this, not for club soccer and all that sort of stuff. Presuming it's just for this. I kind of get it. You know,
yeah.
national pride
Oh,
on the
of course,
line.
of course.
You know, smaller countries like in Ecuador, for instance, you know, you don't get to be up against the world in much.
No.
So it's
Sports brings people together, and
Yeah.
no sport does it better than soccer.
now one other part of yesterday's game. Egypt has formally declared a complaint against the referee. It's a formal complaint against the refereeing crew, not just the referee. The entire. We think y'all did a shitty job, all of y'all.
They should contract Trump, you know, pay him a consultant fee. So, Donald, can you take care of this for us? Can you call Gianni?
Shots were 17-4 in favor of Argentina.
They missed a late foul in the box, Blake.
Honestly, like the toes of the boots collide by a millimeter. Like if that's the threshold, like there'll be 16 penalties in every match. Come on.
Well, if that's the threshold, every match could be protested officially,
Right.
formally. Whitecaps tonight, 7:30 at Swangard for the first time in 16 years. BC play still unavailable. It is the first leg of the Canadian Championship quarterfinal versus Cavalry FC of Calgary. First game since the MLS season paused for the World Cup. The second leg goes Monday in Calgary, and the Caps resume league play next Thursday in Chicago. Boy, I can't remember many weeks when they played a Monday-Thursday, Blake.
No,
but that'll
it's
be
a
the
little
case.
bit odd, and we'll see if Lewandowski's
Going
ready for Chicago in
Right.
that
That'll be
one.
awesome.
And we'll see who's ready for the Whitecaps. I have got
Like Berhalter's not playing.
no, he's not even
after.
with the team,
Yeah.
and neither is Kubas. He's not with the team yet either.
Okay.
But Muller's been back in training. Ryan Gauld and Adekubian in full training. Like I don't think Adekubian and Gauld play, but I wouldn't be surprised given how much training those
Alume's
two guys
back,
have.
right?
What's that?
Alume.
Alume's back. Yeah. I have no idea about the starting 11, but Gauld and Adekubi, while they likely won't start, like, and this is just me, not informed.
Mm-hmm.
Like why couldn't they play a half hour? Like they've been training for weeks now with the team.
Takaoka, or do you suspect OK Falls Isaac Bomer gets one of these games against
Yeah, maybe they would split
Canadian
it.
Championship? Bomer's played in
It's
years
generally
past,
been
right?
Bomer.
Yeah.
Maybe they would use Takaoka on the road just to get him reps before they resume. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Muller. He is off to the MLS All-Star game in
Yes.
Charlotte later this month, joining teammate Sebastian Berhalter. Did you see Berhalter's intensity Monday?
I loved it.
Well,
great.
first of all, Pulisic is coming off the pitch after just a horrid.
Stinking up the joint.
Just stunk. 11 turnovers in the first half, I read, for Pulse. And Berhalter is staring right through him. Like, just daggers coming out of Berhalter's eyes. Like, it was the most perfunctory little hand tap high five as the substitution is made. And then he takes that strike and he hits the post. And he starts gesticulating to all the fans like, let's go. We need you behind us.
Man, it's almost
I mean, the guy was just dripping intensity.
It's almost like the best player on Team USA shouldn't have been out there if he was only at 65% with his ankle injury. Almost like he was a detriment to his team.
Do we have a player the quality of Sebastian Berhalter coming off the bench, Blake? Thank you. Vancouver.
I don't know. What do you think the answer is to that?
No.
You don't think there's a substitute as good as Sebastian Berhalter on the Canadian team?
Canadian midfield substitute taking Davies out of the equation? No. Pray tell, who would it be?
Well, we're not talking midfielders. We're talking about a substitute for Davies. Davies doesn't play midfield.
You told me, but you told me that Davies had to play. Anyways.
There are European players, not an MLS player.
Medically cleared. MRI came back fine.
Pulisic just cleared too.
7 weeks away. Vancouver Canadians prevailed 10-7 over Everett last night at the Nat, the first game of a 6-game home set this week. Thanks to home runs from Victoria's Sam Shaw. He swung a very nice bat this year, Sam. Since coming off the injury list. Big Peyton Williams, the Iowa meat truck. Alex Stone also goes deep. Hey, shout out North Vancouver's Adam Meyer. He takes the mound for the Aqua Sox tonight. Remember seeing him back in May. Sensational over 5 scoreless innings in his first start here in his hometown. RBC Week here Wednesday, supporting food runners tonight. Post-game fireworks tomorrow night, always popular. Friday nooner. Blue Jay Day Saturday featuring Kevin Pillar there signing autographs, posing for selfies, and a White Spot Family Fun Sunday with a pirate hat giveaway. If you're 7, 8 years old and there is a pirate hat giveaway at the ballpark, that is an awesome day. Kids run the bases as well. Get your tickets, 604-872-5232. CanadiansBaseball.com.
Will there ever be a time where kids don't know what pirates are? Do we get historically too far away from actual pirates? Where one day the people will be like, what do you mean you dress like that?
Could be.
We're not there yet, thankfully.
We still know what Vikings are.
That's true. That was longer ago. Yes, that's true. So what good costumes endure, I guess, is the thing.
Did we forget about Kraken until Seattle's NHL team brought it back? Wasn't a whole lot about Kraken there in my youth. I'm not sure I could tell you what a Kraken was when I was 10, 12, 13.
Kraken aren't real. Like, we're not historically far away from Kraken because they never occurred.
Like, I watch History's Greatest Mysteries with Lawrence Fishburne.
And
there was an episode on the Kraken, okay? Giant squids, brah. They used to attack boats back in the Viking days. James Butler recognized as one of the top 3 CFL players of the week after Saturday's 36-24 win over Edmonton. He rushed for 135 yards and a pair of second quarter touchdowns. 9 yards per carry on 15 lugs of the football. Had a few receptions as well. Of course, Lions on a bye week before getting back after it against those same Edmonton Elks at Commonwealth next week. 5 hours, 15 minutes, the longest Wimbledon match since the tie-breaking rules changed in 2019, the longest gentlemen's quarterfinal ever played, and Novak Djokovic narrowly gets past the Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime in a 5th set super tie-break, Blake. Super tie-break. First one to 10, win by 2. The former world number 1 called this one of the best matches he has ever been a part of at Wimbledon, and Novak has been in a few. Felix said, quote, I had other opportunities in my career where such tight matches didn't fall in my favor either. I'll have to see what I can do to make sure it doesn't happen next time. Novak also said, these are the moments I still play tennis for.
But Felix said it all there. Like,
yep.
And I love, he is our best men's player by a country mile now. Obviously, he's the 3 seed in this Wimbledon.
It is really freaking hard to beat the top of the men's tennis ladder. Like,
it just is.
They just don't lose a lot.
Nope. And yet, periodically, a couple of times a year, oh, so-and-so knocked off Sinner. Oh, so-and-so beat Djokovic. It just is never Felix.
Yeah.
It's too bad. And I'm not being critical. He's having a great career. He's accelerated away from the rest of the men that we had high hopes for, like Chapeau and others. By getting that massive win over Sinner or Djokovic or Nadal when he was playing.
He's got the U.S. Open next month. We'll see how he does on the hard courts of Flushing. And somebody call Paul Bettany, because we've got a real-life Wimbledon story happening at the championships. Arthur Ferry.
Oh, is he wee? I didn't even realize he's wee.
Continues his Cinderella run, defeating the number 9 seed Flavio Caboli and advancing to the semifinals. Some may call it a fairy tale for the 24-year-old Brit. It was right there. It was right there. I had to.
5'9", yeah. Michael Chang.
5'9", 24 years old, unseeded, out of nowhere. He's in the Wimbledon semis, and take a look at this. Here's your final four at Wimbledon. Novak Djokovic, career earnings, $193 million. Alexander Zverev, career earnings, $66 million. Jannik Sinner, $65 million. Arthur Ferry, $868K. One of these things is not like the other.
Well, and the other thing is that it's not like he was trending. Like, this isn't a guy who was just a late bloomer that was like a Gabriel Diallo, for instance, who was a late bloomer on the relative scale.
Yep.
But then had a nice run up.
College tennis, if I'm not mistaken. Diallo.
But had a nice run up and made, not so much this year, but I think it was last year where he had a pretty meteoric rise into the top 50, I think, at one point. This is not this guy.
Where's it? Do you have it? Where
114. It is his highest rank, by the way.
Well, and Blake, like, he's going to look like a jockey standing beside the likes of Sinner and Zverev. Like, they're huge humans.
Yeah.
Honestly, if he makes the final, they have got to get Paul Bettany in the stands, right? And Kirsten Dunst? Is that the female lead? Yeah.
Yes.
Crowd will go crazy. The whole kingdom, the whole realm is behind him. Can you imagine if he makes the finals? You could have Charles, Camilla, Will, and Kate in the Royal Box. This will be a moment for British sport.
I think both are available.
Hell, they may even patch things up with Harry. Arthur Ferry may bring Harry back into the royal fold.
I doubt
it. Shout out to our friend, longtime NBA assistant coach, former Simon Fraser University star, and of course, Canadian men's national team head coach, Raptors head coach, Jay Triano. He is going to the Portland Trail Blazers, according to Chris B. Haynes, joining the staff of Micah Norrie. He had been assisting in Dallas with Jason Kidd. And news out there with the Vancouver Bandits. Their coach, Kyle Julius, has stepped down. He's accepting a head coaching position in the Chinese Basketball Association, which, as you know, has attracted some ex-NBAers, like some pretty big names over the years. He's going to remain as GM. The Bandits have appointed his lead assistant, Ransford Brempong, as the interim head coach for the remainder of the 2026 CEBL season.
AI have a spin through
China? I think Allen Iverson might have. Steph Marbury certainly did. He was a big star in the Chinese. I had friends go to a Chinese Basketball Association game once upon a time. They said it was marvelous. They said the crowd was super into it.
They love it. They certainly do love
it. Of course, you got a few foreign players per side. Mm-hmm. They saw Former Grizzly Ike Austin.
Ike Austin, former. Oh, there's so many good LA Clippers calls with Bill Walton calling Ike Austin. Ike Austin cannot be stopped. Is that Michael Jordan out there or Isaac Austin?
It's a pretty good Walton.
Tongue planted firmly in Walton's cheek at the time.
Does he?
Because he had made 2 baskets in a row or something.
I liked when Walt used to question it. Does he even want the basketball?
The sarcasm was always so good, though. If a bench player had 2 baskets in a row, it was like, he clearly cannot be stopped. So good.
Results of the daily poll question. Are you a radio listener? Blake pretty much knows the results, so he's not guessing today. I got to say, I'm usually not all that surprised with the results of our poll question. Yesterday surprised me. Are you a radio listener? 65% of you voted yes. I did not think there would be that big a crossover of radio listeners on X. And there's 3,000 votes on this poll, too.
Yeah. I wonder.
I was also surprised by Not After Today only getting 22%. I thought they would be angrier with the loss of 650
and
11.
I do wonder if a bunch of people didn't even scroll down enough to see Not After Today, that maybe they were supporting the 650 guys by saying yes. Maybe there was a little bit of confusion there. Maybe
13% said no. Well, we did see a lot of BJ. I'll read BJ's. I listen live, but via internet, not the actual radio waves. Saw a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I don't listen to the radio, but I listen to
the
podcasts that originate on radio stations.
Yeah.
You know, Steve Brunt said to us yesterday, the fan station in Toronto now is basically just a podcast hub. Morbital said, I used to be a 1040, 1130, 650, all gutted by soulless assholes in Toronto. Dermot, I will still be using FM, but my only 2 AM presets are gone. Wishing all the best to those impacted. And I want to bring this tweet up because something we didn't talk about yesterday, but the role that radio can play in situating a person in a new community. This is David who said, immigrating to Canada in 2008 as an 8-year-old. I got into hockey during the 2011 Cup run. Then I listened to Team 1040 every day as I got home from school, snacked and showered. I had sports radio everywhere I went. Sports radio was how I grew to be Canadian. And now it's gone. It's true.
It is true, and you know, we try to recreate that digitally here with our Vancouver Hub of the Nation network with Canucks Conversation and Blackfish and
Rank Wide
and all that. But it does feel a little bit more like an archipelago rather than a landmass. You know, it's a little bit different, right? And you can't go to one place and just...
Well, you have to arrive here.
And you have to go to each destination rather than one.
And the other thing is... And we should have mentioned this yesterday as we were talking about, you know, terrestrial radio is just dying. There are a lot of new vehicles. Tesla, I'm told. You don't get a car radio.
Yeah.
Or there's a radio there, but no AM dial.
Yeah.
So like you have auto manufacturers who are deeming this not a necessary perk in the car, when it used to be indispensable, like the most important perk of the car, right? When I was in high school, guys were really interested in getting the best car stereo they could. Mostly for music, but you know what I mean.
We had this issue yesterday. I'll ask you now, though.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do on the way to work today?
Well, we went out on Granville yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was in no position to drive home.
Yeah.
So I took an Uber and I talked to my Uber driver.
Okay, so that filled the gap. We'll have to ask you next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Please do. Speaking of errors and omissions, Blake tells me I screwed this up yesterday. Yesterday was my Monday.
Yes.
We will not have shows tomorrow or Friday. We have some maintenance work to do on the computer in there. So Mike and all the techies are going to get busy.
We're going to put years back on Mike's life because he's had a few taken off lately.
You may remember we did that interview with PJ. Well, actually, you don't remember because we did this great interview with PJ and then the system crashed and we lost the great interview with PJ. We talked about it last time we had PJ on. So in order to prevent mishaps like that, we need to shut her down for a couple of days here, take things apart, put it back together. We got smart people on the phone.
The timing is a little suspect given what's happened in media this week.
We are not going dark. We will be back on Monday.
Yeah.
Jacob Lazar assures me we will be back Monday. And I trust Jacob, who runs Rinkwide. More E's-No's from yesterday. When we recorded the Stephen Brunn interview, we were not yet aware that the fan station in Calgary had gone down. You asked CJOB in Winnipeg, Ched in Edmonton, who owns them? Chorus owns them, Global. One of the other things we missed when we're talking about radio and how expensive it is to produce, we didn't mention guest fees, right? That's the other thing. You're bringing on guests from different companies. Oftentimes they get a fee, like a Frank Saravelli is not doing it for free, right? You got to pay him for every appearance. So that's sort of a drip, drip, drip on the financials of sports talk radio that other genres don't necessarily have. And should shout out, we missed Eddie Gregory amongst our ex-colleagues who are working over there. Eddie used to produce our show. He's just so quiet. Of all the producers we worked with, and I think Eddie produced the show for 2 to 3 years, 5 times could I remember him jumping in on the mic on the show? He used to always say, no, don't talk to me. I'm laser focused on the board and getting everything done. So I like Mike. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with our program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky Live. Many of those platforms, noon Pacific time, just not tomorrow or Friday. Back Monday. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about.